Hello, 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 hello there.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Am I
I
on?
can, yes, you're on. I can hear you.
Hey,
Welcome.
everyone.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, 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 welcome to Walking Heavy with Sue and Renee, where there are no titles, no positions, no shade, and no religion, just real feelings and real talk. Thank you for joining us today. Um, how are you?
I have to be honest and say, I feel I feel some kind of way. It's just a lot. There's been a lot going on, and just everything that's been happening in our communities, uh, you know, can begin taking a toll, um, and also our church family experienced another loss of one of someone who's very near and dear to us, and so that's kind of weighing on me. So I've just being completely honest and transparent. I've had a it's been tough, but I'm here. We keep going. We keep moving. We keep shaking. How are you, Rainier?
I am all right. I have to be part of a healing circle later. It's a lot. It's a lot emotionally. It's a lot. Um, it's a lot.
Hmm.
I am empathic, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I've also been trying to hold space for the people that work with me and show up inside of that. Um, yeah, but I'm excited about today. I'm
I am
excited about
excited about
today
today. Yes.
because in celebration of Pride Month, we wanted to spend this month talking about things that show up in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
although
Yeah.
this was scheduled prior to the recent events, we decided to press forward. And
Yeah.
we're not removed from what is happening in the world today. We just wanted to take steps to maybe shift or walk in another direction for the next hour.
Hmm.
And so we hope you got your walking shoes ready because today we are talking about I am not my label. And we have the amazing honor of having special guest Dr. Vanessa Brown. So before
Yes.
we bring her on, Sue,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about Dr. Brown.
Well, it is my pleasure to be able to uh, introduce her today to some, and just I guess, and bigger up to others. Um, so she is the senior pastor of Rivers of Living Water Ministries (UCC), with physical locations in New York and New Jersey. We are virtual now; everybody knows that. She is also the bishop elect for the Northeast region of the Fellowship of Reforming Ministries, or TFAM, and which is led by our presiding prelate, Bishop Yvette A. Flunder. And I consider it a privilege um, to present her to you. She is not only my pastor, but my mentor, my sister, and my friend. And so I welcome Heavy Family. Please join Rhaenyra and I in welcoming Dr. Vanessa M. Brown to the show.
Right now, I wish I had like that applause sound that goes on. Welcome. Oh wait, I just want to take a second to say hello to all our walk in heavy
Yes.
family. We see you, Pam. We see you, Freddie.
Hey,
We see
y'all.
you, Renee,
Yeah.
Chaplain PJ. We see you. Hi, hi, hi.
Hey,
Um,
y'all.
you
Share,
got to give
share,
the
share.
disclaimer though, Sue,
Huh?
about titles. You got to give the disclaimer because I ain't trying to go
Okay,
up
all
against.
right, yes, because here's the other thing about the good Reverend Dr. Vanessa M. Brown. I will fight you over her. She's one of the few people I will actually do fisticuffs over. So we have permission from her to call her Dr. Brown today for everyone who's watching. Just want to put that out there because I don't want to fight. I don't want to, yeah.
Yeah, we
I don't
don't
want to
want the
go
comments
crooked.
like
I don't want to
that's
be
not her
dissuaded.
name.
Yeah.
I.
Right, yeah.
So
So now that we've gotten that out the way.
Yes. Welcome, Dr. Brown. How are you
Welcome.
today?
How y'all doing?
We're good. We're
We're
good.
good,
We're so
excited.
happy that you're here.
I'm
Yeah.
glad to be.
Yeah. I'm very glad to see you. And thank you for pressing forward. We are excited about having this conversation around labels and it's so much bigger
Hmm.
because of where we are right now, how labels are showing up.
Right.
We're going to tie it into the wonderful labels that we keep on in our community as well.
Yes. Yes.
Because I don't know about anybody else on here. I'm definitely not the label that probably people put me in. So let's
All
talk
right,
about that.
let's go. Let's
So,
go.
how do you think people see you? Like, how do I'm gonna ask Sue the same question. How
Yes.
do you think that you're labeled? And you can give all your labels, but how do you think that you are labeled?
It's interesting. The first thing I want to say is, first of all, thank you both for inviting me to be a part. I want to absolutely say that this show is dedicated to Brian Kamar Anderson
Yes.
on my part. Brian is my son, and he transitioned the day before yesterday.
Yes.
And I know people are wondering what I'm doing up here, but he would want me to do the show. I can hear him right now, like, "Mom, get dressed, get ready, let's go."
Hmm.
Reason why I brought him up is because the first time I started really hearing about labels within our community was through him, right? So
Wow.
I think that when people would label me, I don't know. I mean, as a Black woman, we have all kind of labels. Clergy, they probably would say she's a lesbian, or same gender loving or queer, depending on who's talking. Um, she's a Black woman. I have a lot of labels, that people put on me. And I see labels as descriptive words, but I also see them sometimes as stigma being attached to something. So, people will call me different things, but those are the generally the labels that I've heard. I don't know what people are saying in private.
Right. Because people always saying something in private.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So Sue,
Yeah.
can you piggyback on that? Like what are your labels? What have you
Oh boy. Labels are something I agree with Dr. Brown that they can be very restrictive. The thing is, we often take the labels that people have given us since we were little and kind of carry them over into adulthood. And so we name ourselves certain things based on the labels that other people have put on us. So these days, I would say, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a leader, I guess in the LGBT community, I guess I be well, I used to take on the label as femme, but I still kind of see myself as femme. Yes, yes. Not, you know,
Yeah,
not
let's talk about
pillow,
that. We should talk about all of that.
not pillow, but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
um, but
Not a
so
pillow
you drinking
princess.
water?
You know
but
what? Yeah. Mm,
but but
we're gonna talk
yeah,
about
no,
but
we gonna come back to that. But I brought all of that up to say because that I was looking at the definition of label, right? Talking about the noun and the verb,
yeah.
and it is the noun is a classifying phrase or name applied to a person or thing, one that is inaccurate or restrictive,
Right.
right? The verb is assigned to a category,
Yes.
especially inaccurately or restrictively.
Hmm.
So when we think about labels, um, while they can be good as a descriptor, like okay, if I'm getting a can or something and the labels on the can, I know what's inside of the can. That is a good way to do a label. But when it comes to people, that is not necessarily the case. Oftentimes, most times, when something is labeled, it is done inaccurately and as something that is restrictive or something that kind of holds you in a place, right? So if I consider myself, just taking it because it is Pride Month. So let's go back to the label of femme, right? When you think of the label of femme, most, and I don't know about the younger ones now, but the old heads, when you talk about femmes are submissive. Femmes are, they have a particular role, right, in the home. And if there's any old heads on here, y'all could speak up about that. But that when I me coming up, that's what femmes were, right? Femmes are the ones that they were the divas. They dressed nice. They wore heels. They took care of house and home. They took care of, I guess, the aggressive or the boy or the butch. I am decidedly not that type of femme. Like I am not that type of femme, right? Um, but it took me a minute to separate myself from that categorization of what a femme in the community, how a femme showed up.
I
I'm
think,
not that type of femme. Go
yeah,
ahead,
I think that
Dr.
our
Bell.
community has done an injustice to all of us,
Hmm.
right? Just in terms of the whole label thing. So I remember, and I would consider myself an old head coming into this, you know what I'm saying, that, it was all about, I had no idea, the only terminologies I knew was, you was a butch, you was a femme, or a lipstick chick, you know what I'm saying, or a butch queen. I learned all of these things from my son. These terminologies, I had no idea what an AG was until I came to 149th Street and in the Bronx to
Hmm.
a church, and they told me that these people were AGs, and I had no idea what that was until somebody told me what that word meant. Right. So I think that though the description of it, one might say that Dr. Vanessa Brown is an AG, but that's just only an appearance. I just like to dress a certain kind of way. It doesn't mean that that's my persona. It doesn't mean
Hmm.
that that's who inherently I am. I am a woman, you know what I'm saying? And I like to do things like any other woman likes to do. Now, I don't cook and clean and all that stuff. Right? Now, I'm trying to learn how to do some things over the last, 6 or 7 months. But that's not always been my way. So like Susan said, femmes have always been the people who took care of the house and who took
Hmm.
care of the kids, and they kind of we kind of took these roles, is what I'm trying to say, that
Yes.
heteronormatism had,
Yes.
and just enmeshed them into our world, and then we wanted everybody to fit in this world, and it wasn't working for them, so what made us think that it was going to work for us, right? And so
Right,
we yeah.
right,
And so we did an injustice because you got so many people trying to follow after these labels,
Mm.
and what people say that you are. She a AG or she this and that. I'm not none of that. Like I'm just Vanessa, and catch me on a good day. I'm a bottom or top, right?
right,
That's the way it is, right? That's me talking. That's my world. Everybody's not living in my world. Like I don't. I told somebody I could wear a pump, or I can wear a nice, meslin shoe. Hello, men's shoe. I
Right.
can wear a nice dress. I can have my girls lifted up. People have seen me. It's not,
High and
I've dressed up
lifted up and
before.
all that. Okay, good.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I've dressed up before, and people have also seen me in a different way. When I first started the church, people saw me as a femme, and I remember
Yes, I
people were
remember the
asking me,
dresses. Yes.
"Oh, what y'all two doing together?" Right? Because Tawana has always been a femme, so I remember that whole conversation around that, and it's like I don't even know what they're talking about. I
right,
just
Mm.
thought two lesbians was two lesbians until I started seeing all these labels and all these people playing roles about what they felt things were supposed to be. And
right,
eventually, I slipped into that, right?
Mm.
And I slipped into that, and then I started to say, you know what, I am who I am, and
Right.
so like I can be a certain way. This is who I am outwardly. But I will tell you that if I saw a mouse, I'm gonna stand on top of a table and scream my head off. Until somebody come and kill it. I'm gonna be like Susan. I'm gonna run out. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm afraid, right? I am, so I'm not gonna try to act like I'm this rough and tumble type of person because that's not really me. But I'm not
Right.
a punk either. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not a bitch either. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I am who I am, right?
Yeah.
But there are certain things that we put on our community, we put on our own people, and then we like to make fun of it, or we like to, really ostracize people into a corner. You know what I'm saying? Until
That's right.
they almost give up who they are, right? Because of fear of what somebody's gonna say about them. Like, I don't really care what people have to say about me. If you know me, then you know me.
See, I would like to say, like, I screw the whole metric up because I identify as gender fluid. So all of my friends that have known me for 10 plus years, and I don't know why I'm getting that echo again, but for 10 plus years, they have seen me go up and down the scale.
Right. Yes.
So but my external shifts, like I can be in heels, I can be in, but my internal is equally as sliding. I can be very much like, baby, what do you need? And you know, not very much like the cook stuff and kill bug stuff, like all of that stuff. But there are some top things that I do. So there are, I would date people and they would get upset, and it actually, being transparent, it was a big thing in my last long-term relationship, because the transition happened, and although I had been honest from the beginning and say, like, I'm gender fluid, this is how, it shifts, it changes, it hadn't shifted in so long that when it did shift, my ex at the time didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so things started to happen that began to be a conflict.
When both of you are speaking, what is coming up for me is how, depending on the label, and I'm just staying right here in the LGBTQ community, depending on the label that others have placed on you or you have taken on, because sometimes we take on a label to get what we want. So if I am attracted to femme girls and femme girls are not attracted to other femme girls, right? Then I might take on the persona and the label of someone that's more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
To get what I'm attracted to. The problem with that is we stifle our own selves when we take that on. So, and I have known in the past AGs or aggressives who, because they have taken on this, or because they see themselves as aggressive, as boy, as butch, cannot fully express themselves in the bedroom because AGs don't do that. Butchers don't do that. Boys don't do that. And so they walk around sexually frustrated all the time because they cannot step outside of the label.
Yeah. And you know what? To be honestly transparent, I used to be that way. Very early on. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, this is not going to work for me. In other relationships, I used to be, this is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? This is not working for me. This is not going to work. I don't really want to do it like that. But it's about evolution. Right. And I think that when we start respecting the way in which people evolve into a space, then our relationships could be better. But we don't respect the way people evolve. And so that brings problems, that brings conflict. And maybe the way you're evolving doesn't work for me. And that's okay. But I think we have to have a conversation about that evolution and what it's going to bring. So again, I go back to the label and how I appear to be. I've been invited to a lot of masculine identified events that I don't attend because I'm not really masculine identified. You understand? And I know how I look, right? And I can go into any room and say what needs to be said.
Right.
But that's not the room that I probably would be the most comfortable in. I'm probably most comfortable in a female identified room or in a room with femmes, and who knows why that is. Now, however, all of the years that I worked for the Apollo Theater, I worked best with male identified, with men with people that were men or male identified folks, right? So like for 5 or 6 years, I toured on the road with all men and I was the only woman, right? But if I'm in a circle you know what I'm saying, such as this or whatever, I'm very comfortable sitting here with Renee and Sue. I'm not saying I would be uncomfortable sitting with people who are masculine identified. I'm saying that I work better in a particular room. You know what I'm saying? And so when they invite me, I'm always gracious, right? But I'm always like, why am I being invited to this room? It's about appearance. It's about what you think a person is, right? Based upon how the exterior is, but you don't even know that person. You've not gotten to know them to know who they really are. And so you put a label on them and you push them over to this box. And here you go. So you check this box and you check this box. What if I don't want to check any boxes?
Right.
Right. And I want to take a second and I want to go back to something you said earlier, Dr. Brown, that Freddie brought up. It said your statement, you had a quote that said it wasn't working for them. So what made them think that it was going to work for us?
Yes.
When we take on, we and I remember, and someone else said it too, and I'm gonna
These
bring this
comments,
up,
boy.
and I want to give it, and I'm gonna say this is a trigger warning in
Yeah.
advance for anyone that may feel a way about words. But Minister Priscilla said the first labels that she heard in her adolescent years of being gay was bull dagger or dyke.
Mine was
And
too. Mine was.
you know the I'm more hesitant to use the F word for men than the other words. So I won't use the F word, but I'll say I know that those were the words that I heard in the household I grew up in, and my mom that raised me would have been considered old school and Baptist. So words like bull dagger, like the F word, like dyke, all of that, not dyke, but that BD word
Or
was.
butch. Butch was a fighting word too. She's a
Was
butch.
Yeah, I
it?
didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
We use this word freely now, but butch was like a curse word. When you call somebody, I remember I was dating somebody that I probably shouldn't have been dating. I'm not gonna go into the whole story, but the bottom line is I remember two words my mother used. My mother has since evolved. She's 81 years old and a member of our church. But two words. One word was she's a bull dagger, and the other one was she's a butch. I'll never forget hearing those words, not just from my mother, but from other people around, hearing
Wow.
those words. And those were like calling a man a F. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Using that word. They were derogatory terms that we have
Wow, I
since
didn't know that.
lifted up into different spaces. But butch was not always a nice word to be called. I ain't that much older than y'all. Don't even try it.
Wow. I never knew that. I
Yeah.
I
knew bull
never knew that.
dagger,
Not a
but
nice
I
word. Also, oh, she's a butch. That wasn't a nice word. That was at
wow.
least from maybe within our community we
Mm-hmm.
embraced it, but society did not embrace that word or the people.
Mm.
Right? They didn't
Wow.
embrace butch. They didn't embrace bulldagger, and they didn't embrace dyke.
Wow. Wow. Even gosh, we have some really great comments, but even was something else that's coming up for me, that even the terms lesbian and gay and even those terms, I feel in our community, in the Black and Brown community, more particularly African Americans, kind of trying to step away from that. So we kind of use terms like same gender loving.
Yes, SGL. You have a whole community of people
Right.
that won't use
Um,
the word lesbian or gay or
right.
bisexual. They'll use
Because it's a white,
SGL. And then you
right.
have a whole community of people that won't use the SGL or lesbian, bisexual. They'll use queer,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Right.
that also used to be a fighting word.
And
Yeah.
I remember queer being a fighting word. And Jay made a comment. I'm gonna bring it up. It says this
Mm,
label thing in the African American community is so overlooked.
mm,
And I think I understand what she means by that in the sense that in other communities it's not looked at all. Like you
right.
could be who you want to be and it not necessarily be you only can
Taboo.
love a certain way. A femme
Right.
can only love a butch. A butch can only love a femme. If
Mm-hmm.
you are a effeminate male, you should only be with a hard male. Like if I don't
But
know why
I
we
want
did that.
I gotta say something about this label thing. So, in the terms of even about where we live regionally, right? There were words I never heard. Like in the South, they use the word stud.
Yeah.
Up north, where we at, New York, we don't use stud, right? I don't really hear people say stud. I mean, you know, I might be closed in or whatever.
No,
But
there's
when
some studs.
they did, okay.
There's some
When I
studs.
went to Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm there for Pride. And you know, it gave me the impetus for the idea of our first cruise that we gave at Rivers, to have everybody included. Because here in New York City, you either had a girl party or a boy party, right? And it was always separate, and everybody was going to, you know, all of these places. Y'all know the clubs, whatever it was, you know, Chi Chi's and you know, one potato, two potato, or you know, Pandora's box,
Yeah,
or
Pandora's. Yeah.
warehouse, and they had particular nights for particular people. Am I right? And
Yes.
so I was like, you know, look, why can't we all come together? And so that was the first time I gave something where men and women party together for Pride, and it wasn't a separate thing. But when I went to Charleston, they were all just partying, everybody. I don't care what they was, queer, you know, LGBTQI, SGL, whatever the label was all in that room, and there were no issues at that time. But what I discovered, right, is the thing that, which was beyond me, but you know, I say evolution. I saw two femboys together dating. I saw two AGs dating. I saw, you know, or two studs, because that's what they call them, two studs dating. You know
That's
what I'm
the
saying?
stud.
And I was like, okay, get the gun and blow me up. What? You know, I was shocked. I was shocked. But you know what? It was and guess what? I didn't have a judgment for it. I was just shocked. I was
Right.
like, okay, people are doing it differently. Like, it's not like, don't fence me in, don't box me in. This is what
Child.
it is. And
Right.
I was just like, okay. You know, but I know everything is about generations too, and how people think, right? And so I know that there'll be another generation that would never do that, right? They wouldn't even stand for it. But I know that there's another generation that's coming up that's very fluid, and they don't really
Very.
care what anybody thinks,
Right.
right? And they just rolling with the flow. And
They
it's
do what
all
they want,
good.
do
I
who they
think
want.
that we have to allow people to be who they are.
Yes.
Like, you don't want to miss out on somebody because they look a certain way to you, but you don't even really know them inherently who they are. You don't know how they are on the inside, and you make a judgment. You don't want to miss out on somebody just because you got this thing planned in your mind about, because you're stuck in a label about what another person should be. That, I mean, you know, that's just me.
Victoria said, respect the way people evolve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's so important. Like, and I think that we don't. I think that we create silos. So when somebody starts evolving in a different way, oh, so now we leave that person off to a silo by themselves. They feel alienated. They feel isolated
Yes. Oh
because
my
they're
goodness.
not. I feel like people who could really be trans ain't gonna come out trans because of the way they see other people talk about trans people. And
Wow.
so I mean, there are a lot of people that I feel that I'm around, and I said to myself, you know, I said, wow, they could really be a trans person, but they would never probably be that because of what
Right.
people have to say. And we keep, again, I want to say that it's incumbent upon us in our own community to get out of
Right.
the box, step out of
Yeah.
the box, and not let people box us in. And call people out when they start boxing other folks in.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's
This is
beautiful.
good.
Start speaking up for folks. This is our
Yes.
community, right? So let it be our community, and it don't have to be. We don't have to color in the lines. Let me color outside the lines, you know. And I think that
Exactly.
people have a really big problem with that.
Yeah.
Because in order to, and we're running into this right now, in order to accept the way someone else is and who they are, makes you have to deal with who you are.
Yeah. Yes, it
Period.
does. Period.
Because if I have an issue, because if I have restraints, and I won't post it because it was very long. Um,
Mhm.
but I saw up earlier, I think it was Minister Priscilla that said um, about the myth that butch women don't like to be touched. And she went on to say that she had butch friends who would denounce her opinion about being touched.
Yeah.
You know, if I have an issue or preference, because it's not always an issue. So let me watch my language with that. We have preferences.
Yes.
So if I have a preference, I should not have an issue with what you're doing at all, unless what you're doing makes me question who I am. So if I'm questioning what it means to, oh my gosh, am I all right being a butch and not being touched? Then now I got to challenge what you're doing because I need you to make it make sense to me. But if I'm good with me, I don't give a rat's tail what you got going on.
Exactly.
Do you?
Right.
I think that people that are in relationships are wasting a lot of time trying to be what other people are. Right? Trying to subscribe to what they feel a relationship should be based on what somebody else says, based upon what the church says, based upon what all these things, what culture says, what society says. I think that everybody's relationship is different. Right? My relationship is not the same. Y'all relationships are not the same with people you all involved. We may have some similar things about the relationship, but it's different. Right. And there are certain things that I require that you all don't require. And there's certain things you all require that I don't require, right? I think that we make a mistake when we say that this is how it's supposed to be. Yes. And it needs to fit neatly into this box, just like this. And if it doesn't, and if anything is squeezing out on the sides, you need to get that all back into that box because nothing needs to seep out. And right. I think that's where we give each other problems at.
Yeah.
What works for you don't work for me.
Right.
But I shouldn't have to judge you about that.
Right.
I shouldn't have it. You know, your life is your life. What you decide to do with that is what you decide to do. Who you sleep with and how you do it is your business. It is not my business, and it's not for me to judge. Whether you're top or bottom, were you versatile? You know, I mean, I used to hear all of that stuff. Remember,
might be slanted.
Are you verse? Are you bottom? Are you top? What if I'm side? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What if I'm slanted? I don't know. We got all these things going on that like drive us crazy innately, right? Because what people say does affect us.
Yes.
We say, as I said, people need to watch what goes into their ear gate and what people have to say about them, because these labels sometimes affect us. And not only do they affect us, they infect us.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. Yes.
And it's the truth. And the thing is, it doesn't just, oh my gosh, we could be here for days talking about how labels show up, because it shows up in everything. It shows up if you label yourself as religious versus, or you label yourself as spiritual, if you label yourself as a certain type of ethnicity compared to what people think that you should label yourself, or how you look.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they can't identify who you are ethnically, it's just like Renee, I see you. No part 2 next week. It is. She said a part two.
No.
But it is this real truth. And Pam just said it. I'm gonna pull up the comment because she just said it. Most of us mimic what we see in other relationships, and that's why a lot of us don't know better. And this is not just in the community.
Yes.
This also is how we grew up.
Yes.
If we mirrored, I remember saying to somebody one time, I felt abnormal that my life was feeling normal. I didn't have any dysfunction. And that felt jacked up to me. I kept waiting for something to be wrong. I started looking for something to be wrong because I had gotten used to, I had normalized what chaos had looked like. So when you grow up in a household where there might have been fighting, and I do work in domestic violence, so this is the truth. If you witness certain things, you normalize certain things. So to get popped in your mouth by your boyfriend or your girlfriend, if you watch people get popped in their mouth at home, might be a symbol of love.
Yes. We mimic everything. We mimic everything, and I'm glad that we have put this in the context of LGBTQI people, you know, and that's why I say all the time, like, you know, every person that I counsel in terms of marriage or whatever it is, or relationships overall, you know, first of all, just because somebody counsels you doesn't mean that they have the perfect anything.
Come on.
Right? And what we're actually doing is trying to teach you from the stuff that we jacked up and messed up on, right?
Yes.
Because it wasn't perfect, right? It doesn't mean that we don't know. It just means that at that time, we didn't do the thing that we needed to do at that time, right? Again, I talk about evolution so much because it's important for us to embrace the way that we evolve.
Yeah.
And I am not the same person that I was when I was 28. I'm not the same person that I was when I was 38. I'm not the same person that I was when I was 48. I'm a different person. And, you know, sometimes that evolution means that you can stay connected to wherever you are. And sometimes that evolution means that you have to disconnect. I tell people whatever works for you, that is the thing that you have to do. And here is the other thing I tell people, particularly around these labels: save yourself.
Save yourself.
Save yourself. Save yourself. I don't care what anybody wants to get down with me about. I'm going to save myself. I'm going to save myself first. First and foremost, because if I don't have me, I don't have anybody else. Save yourself.
Yes.
Save yourself. Community, if you're listening, you know, Facebook Live, save yourself.
Yeah.
Get under the thumbprint of your friends and their opinions.
This is good.
And your family and their opinions and what other people think about what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be saying, how you're supposed to be living, who you're supposed to be with, how many people you're supposed to be with, how they supposed to look. Save yourself.
Save
if I
yourself.
Can say anything to a young person, save yourself. Be you and do you. And be your authentic self. And being your authentic self means that I'm going to have to cut some things off and I'm going to have to peel back some of these labels that people put on me that I grew up with, and then some of the stuff that I put my own self into.
Yes, Jesus.
That's right. That's
Where's
right.
the
You said
offering
that.
plate,
That was
where's the offering plate?
that was his own word. I felt like I should just pass around the plate. I'm sweating, and it might be a hot flash, but I'm sweating.
No, I'm sweating too, Renee.
Like I'm running around up in here. I think my spirit just went.
Save yourself.
I think here is another thing. So the house and ballroom culture has categories, and they have labels. And so you could walk face, you could walk, you know, you could be butch queen, you could be butch femme, you could be, I mean, anybody been to a ball, you know that they have categories. And if you haven't been to a ball, then you saw pose before. And so you understand how they have categories. Also another word for labels. Right. And so we carry this thing on, right? It's for the we carry it on even into our real life activities. And a lot of times it's not really who we are.
Right.
And it hurts us.
It does.
It damages our relationships. It damages our ability to get into relationships. It damages our ability for people to get to know us and who we truly are. Good. Because we are walking in something that somebody else set up for us and not something that we set up for ourselves.
And Dwayne just hit the head on the nail on the head as well, saying some of those labels were never meant to be attached to you anyway. You weren't supposed to even have them anyway. Right. But we picked them up. We picked them up from our circle. We picked, like you said earlier, we picked them up from what someone told us. Absolutely. You know, I remember I'm from Philly, right? And so when I was in the clubs, I was down on Roy's Comfort Zone down on Broad Street. I was a bouncer. Don't talk about me. But I was. But I looked a little different back then. But the thing was, I looked very aggressive, right? And so then when the tide turned, like it always does with me, I went back in the club as feminine. I couldn't, and I hung with old heads. I hung with old heads all my life. I was like 19, 20, and my friends were 30, 40 years old. Nobody knew what to do with me because you were not allowed
No.
If you weren't aggressive, you were not allowed to talk to a feminine woman, especially a feminine woman that was in a relationship.
Mm.
If you were a femme, you were not to have communication with an aggressive, especially an aggressive that was in another relationship.
And
So
you are on point.
to them, I was they didn't know what to do with me. I was like a spy or something. They couldn't figure out where to place me. So I often was by myself. It wasn't until I got to New York that I was able to meet people that kind of flowed outside of the binary or outside of the label. And it was one of my good friends, Ignacio, that said to me, "Why don't you just be who you are?" Because I would cry about not belonging.
Because it's painful, Renee.
Yeah.
It's painful when you want to be a part of a community, when you want to be a part of a family, and you finally found people that are like you, and then all of a sudden something happens in this thing, and you've evolved, and you're a different person, and they still don't, they can't see you because they never really saw you. They saw the outward part of you. They never really knew
Right.
Renee, the inward part of Renee, because had they known that, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that but you had that experience whatever amount of years ago. I think
It was about 20 years ago.
Yeah, about all the young people who are currently having these same experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Going same things around. And I pray that our young people can be better than what we were.
Yeah.
Can treat each other better than what we treated each other, and can
Yeah.
love each other better than the ways in which we love. You know what I'm saying? And I pray that they can be more open. But I also pray for our evolution, right?
Yes.
And of our generation's evolution about how things could be, should be, and how we metamorphosize daily, right? We're just always shedding skin daily, like we're never really staying the same. And that these
Yeah.
labels, again, as Dwayne McQueen said, they were never meant to really be attached to us. We've attached ourselves to them.
Right.
And so we can find freedom when we again stop putting everything in that box and let everything kind of like flow out.
And I want to bring Sasha's comment up. Everyone said when I first came out as trans that every trans woman had to be with a man. Now you have trans women with cis women and other trans women and trans men. And Tasha went on to say they don't even go by gender, and that's real.
Yeah.
It's very real.
Yeah.
That's Sasha. It's just very real, and it's I think these discussions need to be had more in a lot of circles. I think we need to have them in church. I think that we
Absolutely in church.
I think we mimic from the club, and then we bring from the club over to the church. And this is the life that you want everybody to live. And then when we start doing something different, you start getting mad about because we're doing something different.
Right.
I remember, even down to we use the word because this is the word that's been added, AGs. When AGs were getting pregnant and having babies, and how people was having
that's still a problem. That's still a problem.
I'm just saying that AGs were carrying babies.
Yeah.
Well, they got a womb, they got a uterus. What we talking about here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they want to have a child, and they don't want nobody else to carry the child. They want to carry it, or maybe their partner couldn't carry the child. We have so many things that what Jasmine say, that violate. That violate.
Yeah.
We have so many things that violate who we are. And we're not paying attention. I want us as a community to start paying attention to our conversations and what we're saying, even around what we think. Just because somebody's not doing it your way. I tell people all the time, and this is my, we're probably winding down. But one of the things I say is so many ways to get to 125th Street in the Apollo Theater. I used to tell people, you can take the FDR Drive, you can take the Triborough Bridge, you can take the George Washington Bridge to the West Side Highway. It's not just one way.
Right.
And that all I'm trying to say is that just how we're living, what we're doing is not just one way. Sue's got a way, Renee's got a way, Vanessa's got a way.
Yeah.
Right. And then the people in the Facebook Live who are listening to us, they have a way.
Yes.
I think that we respect, as Dr. Victoria says, respect people's evolution and respect people's direction in the way that they choose to live their life. As long as it's not harming you or hurting you, that we need to be able to do that for one another, especially in the midst of this coronavirus.
Right.
We can't come out. can't come out with a book, and you can't come out with a business, and you can't come out with a renewed mind.
At
Well,
least.
Don't do that.
yeah, I think, and this is, and I have that prayer as well. This time that we're in right now is teaching us what happens when people put their idea of who you are and who you should be and how you should show up, when they put that on you.
Yeah.
Mm,
They believe that it gives them the right to judge you,
yeah.
to prosecute you, to
Yeah.
persecute you,
Yeah.
and to, in some cases, kill you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And we can be subliminally killing, not
Yes.
subliminally, subconsciously
Subconscious.
killing someone's spirit
Mm-hmm.
by taking them inside of something and telling them this is who you have to be.
Yes.
Earlier you talked about, and all of us have done weddings. And earlier
Yeah.
you talked about, being in that place. I was packing up to move out, and I had a wedding to perform the next week. It was one of the hardest things that I had ever to do in the middle of a divorce and performing a wedding.
No.
And so when you are inside of your own trauma, your
Mm.
own life, your own experiences, you you don't want anyone else's opinion on you. You don't want someone else's restriction on you.
Mhm.
Not even the church.
Not even a
Right.
church. And I
Not
laughed when you said that, because I remember being in the church. This was many years ago, and they were it was an LGBTQ inclusive church, and they were deciding who was going to paint the church. So they had teams. Some people were painting the church, and the other people were required to bring snacks, right? So they walk up to my partner at the time and go, "Oh, okay, so I know that you're going to want to paint. We're going to get everything together. And Renair, you bring the snacks. Go make sure you sign up on the list." I said, "Oh, you so have that backwards. If you waiting for me to bring the snacks, I got to cook? Nah, son, wrong person.
And
If
so funny,
anything, so we switched."
but it's the labels that we talk about because I hear Bishop Flunda say, and if you know Tawana as well, people judge stuff by its exterior. But at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, Tawana is not scared. Bishop Flunda is not scared. They'll kill anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one screaming, ah! Me and Mother Memphis hollering. It's gonna get us right, terrified, right? They could change tires, they put gas in cars. You know what I'm saying? All of these things. Hang up pictures. Get a drill out, hammer. I am none of that. Okay, I'm gonna call somebody and say, "What time can you be here to fix all of this stuff? What time you get my friend Denrick? Okay, what time can you get a paint? What time can you pick? Can you fix my paint, my food pantry? I need new doors. Whatever it is, I'm calling somebody to do it. I'm not that fix yourself up, fix the thing up. I'm not that person, right?
Mm.
I don't care how
Mm.
I look on the outside. I'm not her, and we make that mistake all
Yeah.
the time with people. You know what I'm saying? About because we put people in a box and say this would now, yes, they can all cook and clean and they can all do all those wonderful things, but people are more than that.
Yes.
Right? And I think that even when we look at lipstick chicks or femmes, you all are more than just lipstick chicks and femmes, right? You could do more things. You paint, for God's sakes. I can't paint. I mean, I could do, but it ain't gonna look right. It ain't gonna look the way
Right.
you could do it in there. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm saying that it's not gonna look the way that somebody who actually can really do it, right?
Mm.
And I think that we do the injustice to each other, right? When
Mm.
we don't allow people to stop laughing in there, when we don't allow people to go and flow in the direction that they are designed to be.
Yeah, I mean, you do that from our lived location, our own lived experience, right? So, while you were talking, what came up for me, it was so funny. Many years ago, I was in a club with an ex, and so we ordered drinks, and so one drink was a glass of wine, and the other one was Henny and orange juice. Well, the server came and put the glass of wine in front of me, and gave my ex the Henny and orange juice, and I was like, "No, you have that wrong." Right?
Right.
Just so we
Forgot
make
that about you.
assumptions.
True.
um we make assumptions based of our out of our own lived experience, right? So we only see things a certain way because we haven't saved ourselves, we
Yeah.
haven't done the work, we have not evolved, and so we place things on other people because we are stuck there. So we're gonna, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
so we're gonna look through that lens and place these things and put these people in categories
Yeah.
and have certain expectations of people. And when they don't meet those expectations, we have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left, but I want us to close on this because Freddie brought up something that I think I would like to hear from everybody about. He
Hmm.
said, I think it's important to address the fact that everyone won't be as fluid as you. And that doesn't mean they aren't being true to themselves.
Mm.
I want to talk about that because I have seen that. People and it goes back to what we're talking about people being okay with how other people show up. It right now because everyone, and I don't know if this is what you mean, Freddie, but you can post a comment about this, but I want to bring this up. I know as a gender fluid person, I've seen that conversation around non-binary, around gender fluid, around um, um, queer and how that shows up. And I've heard people say everybody is fluid or everybody is outside of the binary. And a lot of people don't show up that way. Some people do show up inside of exactly who they are. They know who they
Hmm.
are. They have no intention on shifting, change. They are top. They know they're top. They're bottom. They know they're bottom. They're good with that. And I think that it's important if we're going to talk about what freedom, Jesus, we cannot tell people what freedom looks like, even if it's something, and I'm not talking about what's going on outside, I'm talking about pertain
Hmm.
to this topic. We
Yeah.
cannot tell people what freedom looks like, even if to us the freedom looks like it's not
Bondage.
looks
Right.
like bondage. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
And I think that that's important to say. I
Yeah.
think that again, and I love the fact the way he phrased it, because again it goes back to what I said initially. What works for you doesn't work for me. And
Hmm.
so if that's your authentic truth, that's good. Let that be your authentic truth in your
Right.
binary. But in my
Right.
fluidity, it don't work for me, and it means that we probably ain't gonna cha together. And it's
Right.
okay that we don't cha because you are in what you need to be in, and
Right.
I'm in what I need to be in.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean that I'm alienating you. It means that you are where you are, and my fluidity requires me to flow
Hmm.
somewhere, wherever it is I'm going. And I'm just saying, as a topic, or as in terms of the response to what he says, he is exactly right. Doesn't
Hmm.
make that person any different or whatever. Doesn't mean that they're not living authentically, right?
Right.
I think that again, it goes back to we don't have a right to judge people,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
so we could say, okay, that's what you're doing, but maybe what you're doing don't work for me. That's not a judgment. That's what it is. It's the
Right.
reality. It doesn't work for what I'm doing or where I'm going, and so maybe we can't do the cha cha together.
Yeah.
Right. And if you know that it doesn't work for you,
Yep.
then don't try to tell someone that it will just because you want
Right.
to be with them.
Right.
That's right. Don't do it
Yeah. I'll
because you
do it.
mess people up.
Oh.
Right. Right. And you break a heart
Yeah.
unnecessarily. When you
Yeah.
could have told them from the beginning, I like to do A, B, C, or D. And next week we're talking about relationships. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So we get to have this conversation even further
Hmm.
because we're talking about relationships and relationship structures and how they show up. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, People agree to stuff. We sign up for stuff knowing that that's not what we want,
Hmm.
Right.
or we want something that they're not willing to give us.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And then it becomes a problem because then we start going, are you sure? You sure
Because
you
we
won't let me?
people. We think we could change people. We think we could
Come.
change. We think we could change people. We think we could change people, and we can't change nobody but ourselves. That's why I said, save yourself. We can't change people. If I'm
Right.
flowing and going, you can't change people. Maybe somebody will evolve into something, but when we come into something and we think we're gonna change, I'm gonna fix them. They're gonna be all right. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Well, they don't need to be fixed. Maybe they don't need to be fixed.
And we
And if
usually
they need
change
to
them
be
to
fixed, you
something we don't
can't
want them to
fix
be.
it. But if they need to be fixed, you can't do the fixing. And a lot of times, we want to be with people, so we will say yes to anything they want to do because we want to be with that person. But then we find out after the fact, it's like, oh yeah, well, I didn't mean that. No, 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 no. We talked about this. We had, we
Now,
had, I
sometimes
thought we had to understand it.
I think that sometimes so people don't know their capacity.
Yeah.
So I could say that I don't know what I can handle if I've never experienced it. I don't know what it is that I can do. I don't know what it is, how, what I'm saying? I know, if somebody presents something to me, then I know that I can say, based on my own experience, no matter how limited it might be, you know what I'm saying? I
Right.
can make an assessment about that. But if I've not experienced it, I may can't. And so maybe I
Mm,
might agree to do something or be somewhere or, be in a position, whatever it is, based upon the fact that I've not experienced it. So maybe I'm gonna experience it and then I say, "Oh, I like it, and yes, I can do it. Or I experience it and say, I don't like this. And
mm.
no, I can't do it. You understand?
Right. Right.
I'm laughing. I wasn't laughing. These
What?
comments, the
I
things
know.
that are happening
Tell me what's happening.
in the comments.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you didn't have the comments pulled up. I'm so sorry. You can see the comments in the corner, but everybody's just giving their input on the topic and how
There's
labels
somebody
show.
flirting with Renee. Boo, we ain't gonna do this because we
Ah,
speak the truth here on this show.
hey,
Mm.
Renee,
So,
hey.
Well, to answer the question that came up in the room, I am now in a relationship. Um, but next week I will be sharing about being a polyamorous person. So we'll have that discussion next week. However, going
you might
into
have a
what
shot. You might have a shot. No, I'm joking. No, no, no. Keep ain't coming for
there's
me.
rules to this. There's rules to this.
I
But
know. I know.
in all I love flirts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, one thing I want to say before we go, in all truth, I want to say to somebody like, don't change who you are because you're trying to find a partner. The
Mm,
partner that is for you will find you. I'm blessed enough to have met someone along the way who doesn't mind me being gender fluid. They're
mhm,
attracted to whether you're femme or aggressive. So if I shift, they're okay. I never thought that I would meet someone that would be okay with that.
mm,
So I'm saying to you, when you are being your true self, don't shift that or try to change that just because you're looking for a partner. The partner that you want is out there for you.
mhm.
So I just wanted to say that.
I want to say happy Pride Month to everybody. I know that we are sheltered in place, but
Yeah.
I pray that you will enjoy this Pride Month and, at the end of the day, be safe, whatever
Yeah.
you do in every way. Wear your mask, wear your gloves, wear your condoms, wear whatever you got to do. Make sure you got it on. And much respect and love to Renee and Sue and Walking Heavy. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, we
Thank
love
you
you so
for
much.
joining
Thank
us. We
you.
love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to get ready to close out. But Dr. Brown, thank you for having us. Thank you for joining us. I love you.
I love you.
I love you. So thank you for making yourself available
Yes.
today. That
Yeah.
speaks volume. So much love.
Thank you.
Love you. So I saw that somebody asked for your Cash App.
Mine,
Yes.
$ Vanessa M. Brown. I ain't got no problem saying it. $ Vanessa M. Brown.
So
Thank
I'm
please,
you.
putting it in the comments right
yes,
now.
yes. If you want to support, I just want to be a blessing to her.
Thank you.
Vanessa M. Brown.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
Bless you.
Bless you. Love you.
Love you back.
Well, so what a day this
Listen,
was a
that
blessing.
yeah, that was great. And one of these days. I don't know if because we didn't get a chance to do it in this show, but I think I want to eventually for us to talk more about that fluidity, right? And that's, I guess, the sexual fluidity and what that looks like because yeah, I'm not going to pack it now because we're getting ready to go. But I definitely want us to have a conversation about that.
Well, I
Um,
think, and I'm gonna say to you, I think I saw my sister Denise, Dr. Denise in here, who is a clinical sexologist and quite a few other things. So I'm gonna see if
okay.
I can get her to come sit with us in July before we close our season out, so we
Yes,
can have that conversation
definitely.
around fluidity and sexuality and sex and how that shows up. Maybe I can snag her and Ignacio for an
Yeah.
extended show, maybe our last show as we close. Um, Out the season. I do want to say, I got to give our little spill before we go.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us for this conversation on I Am Not My Label. Please share the video. You can still share the video. Like our page, The Walk-In Heavy Show. During the week, we give out questions on our page. So please, 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 please go and like our page. And if you want to find out more ways that you can work with either Sue or myself, we have Sue and Kara Solutions, and for all of your digital content, all of your graphic design stuff, she
Yes.
is
And minister,
available to you.
admin
And
stuff. Yeah.
that's right. She also does ministry work, especially ministerial support, especially with youth and young adults. She's the bomb. Just telling you. Oh, this way. I keep forgetting the things backwards. She is. She is the bomb. Do you have anything you want to add before I continue to close us out?
Oh no, just thank you everyone. Happy Pride. I'm so grateful that we have this platform. Well, I have this platform with you, Renee, and this platform for us to be in community together and have these real conversations. I just remember a time when this wouldn't have been possible. Amen. I'm not gonna go dig a little deeper into that.
Amen.
But
Amen. Because we're going to talk about that in 3 weeks.
yes,
So, just to give you guys an idea of what's happening for the rest of this Pride Month, this month
yes,
we are focused on LGBTQ topics. Next week, we have Dr. Elise Ambrose joining us as we talk about relationships and
yes,
relations and how relationships show up in our lives. We'll be talking about monogamy. We'll be talking about polyamory. We'll be talking about open relations. We're talking about how to be in relationship. The
yes,
following week, we have the amazing co-host of Affairs of the Heart, as well as the CEO of Swank Entertainment, Dwayne Queen. We will be talking about worldly but necessary. What
yes,
does it mean when your work is outside of the four walls, when you have to have those discussions that maybe don't work in every type of setting? How does that show up when you've evolved, but everyone connected to you has not evolved with you? So we are so excited. And then the last Friday of the month, we will have Odu Adamu, and we will be talking about being LGBTQ, Black, and proud. So
yes,
please, please, please share the Walk in Heavy show.
yes.
Please share the video. We would love, love, love to continue to have your comments. And as I close out, I want to shout out Pink Love Wellness as well, where we heal hearts to heal the world, and we do relationship coaching, faith trauma support, and spiritual direction for interfaith individuals. So we thank you again. Follow us on Facebook at the Walk-In Heavy Show.
Yes.
And in the meantime, in between time, until we come together again, keep walking.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Peace out.